In this video, we're going to explore Kabbalah and how it can help you keep your life in balance. Welcome back to Introspection with Samantha. I'm Samantha, and I'm so glad that you're here for this video because I've been looking forward to explaining a passion of mine, a research study of mine that's been going on for many years. It's helped me keep my life in balance. It touches on my Jewish identity, and I hope you can learn how it can help keep your life in balance or put a better perspective to your life, your aspects of yourself. Before I go on, let me remind you that if you like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And let's get to it. Okay, so you've probably heard of Kabbalah. It's become very trendy amongst celebrities, but the sad part is that the version that the celebrities, I feel, typically get exposed to is not the real Kabbalah of Jewish origins, because Kabbalah, although Kabbalah is very intertwined with Judaism, but you don't have to necessarily be Jewish, I feel, in order to understand it and let it impact your life for the better. The word Kabbalah is a feminine form of the Hebrew word kaval, which means receive, and it refers to a series of teachings that explain the universe, how the universe works, how it's put together. And with the universe, I'm also talking about the divine. God is, in essence, it's a series of texts over time. The Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, the Sefer Bahir, the Book of Illumination, and the very popular and very long Zohar, which is probably the most referred to text in Kabbalah. I mean, when people talk about Kabbalah, often they're talking about the Zohar. I want to stress that these Kabbalistic texts often quote verses from the Torah to back up what they're saying, and they're written often in a poetic sense. There's a feeling like it's explaining something straightforwardly. It's explaining some part of the universe in a very straightforward way, but at the same time, it's very cryptic, and you have to study it several times. It's not like the Torah, well, no, I shouldn't say that, because the Torah also encourages you to read it over and over to get new meanings. But Kabbalistic texts are much, much more so. A primary diagram of Kabbalah is the tree of life, and I want to focus on that tree because it relates very cleanly, very directly to improving your life and seeing all the different aspects of oneself, hopefully kept in balance. It's a simple diagram of 10 parts, 10 vessels or containers of energy, and I'm sure I can find it. If I can be able to insert it, I'll insert it into this video. Now there are 10 vessels arranged in essentially 3 parts. There's a mind triangle, there's a middle triangle, and there's a bottom triangle with a foundation vessel all the way at the bottom. The top the very top point of the top triangle, the mind triangle, is Keter, meaning crown. And I've talked about this in an earlier video, but I want to explore it more in depth in a future video. That's where the light emanates from above, and on either side you have understanding and wisdom as they're translated into English. Wisdom, I would like to call it more intuition. The concept is more like a flash of insight, and understanding is on the opposite side, its counterpoint or counterpart. That's the part that takes the flash of insight and makes it more concrete, makes it more substantial, defines it, gives it limitations, so that it can be defined better. Then it goes down from the mind to the middle triangle, where you have Gevura, which would be strength, and Chesed, which would be, I would call it altruism. And it's like a give and take between how much you give out and how much you restrict and keep within. And then below that, and then the triangle, the point underneath that connects that triangle to the triangle below it. If I can remember, it's Netzach and Hod. Netzach, as I understand it, it means victory. It's the constant effort. And Hod refers to praise or awe. And below that, you have Yesod, which means foundation. The energies, if they're flowing through the network towards the bottom, towards the next set, it flows through the Yesod. So it's been likened, the whole thing has been likened also to a human body, where you have the mind, the arms, and then the genitals are the Yesod, likened to the Yesod, so that the energy can flow through down towards the next part below. And below that, you have the foundation. Okay, so in this tree of 10, you can also see them ranged as 3 pillars. There's the pillar of mercy, the pillar of severity, also related to justice, and right in the middle is the pillar of balance. Now, I mentioned before that one of them at the top, one of the vessels, is understanding, and the other one is wisdom. The one in the understanding vessel is at the top of the severity pillar. And let me quote from something here. Severity requires understanding and the dynamics and laws of the cosmos, and applying and empowering them with justice. And while that's implemented via strength, which is one of the Sephirot just below it, one of the vessels just below it, if done without mercy, which would be the other pillar, it leads to a surface display of power and the praise, the awe that I mentioned, which is Hod, near the bottom, divided of virtues like grace, compassion, and humanity. Let me read that again. And while that's implemented via strength, if done without mercy, it leads to a surface display of power and splendor, divided of virtues, essentially removed of virtues like grace, compassion, and humanity. On the other hand, being merciful requires the wisdom of wisdom, chokmah in Hebrew, for acknowledging that victory, which is the counterpart to hod, that victory really isn't possible without it. I also describe this network as three triangles. The mind triangle, where you have the keter, the crown, wisdom and understanding, and then below that you have another triangle of strength, gevurah, and chesed, which would be something like I would think it's something like altruism. And then you have the triangle below of three vessels, and the vessel right in the middle is called tiferet, which is translated sometimes as beauty and also as harmony. It's first of all, it's harmony of the Sephirot networked, working together. It's the beauty that comes from that harmony. Now, that's only a small taste of Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, so I encourage you to look it up on the internet. It's plentiful on the internet. There's a lot of information, but what I want to leave you with is kind of a summary. The first real mention of the Tree of Life, of these Sephirot, is the Sefer Bahir. That was in the late 1100s. There was a lot going on. Kabbalah essentially sprouted in France, in Provence, France, and it spread over the next century into Spain. Now that was the Sefer Bahir, which went into more detail, itemizing and explaining each sephirah, each vessel. But before that, according to academic research, they guess that the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the Book of Formation, can be dated earlier to about 2,000 years ago, around the 1st century. I'm not sure when exactly it was written. I just want to say that it doesn't mention the Sephirot by name or go into detail. It just says that there are 10. It also talks about the importance of 12 and 3 and certain numbers and arrangements. But the Sefer Bahir actually itemizes and describes the meanings of the Sephirot. And then, of course, after that, I think it's maybe the 15, about a century later, you get the Sefer Zohar, which has a lot of diagrams, one of which is the 13-petaled rose, and that segues into a future video I want to get into. There's a researcher who started and maintained a website called meru.org. I believe it's meru.org. No, meru.org, yes. And he has a series of videos on the internet. Also, I think Meru Foundation YouTube channel. He's now deceased, but the videos are still there, and there are several lectures, in which he describes what he suspects is the overall model of the universe that these texts are describing. And the references he's found, he suspects, are also found in the Torah and other Jewish texts. So it's really exciting that if he's right, that the Kabbalah, as Jewish tradition claims, describes some very ancient model of the universe. Can I say model too many more times? Model of the universe and of the divine and how they operate. Jewish tradition says that these teachings go way, way, way back, but there's also the academic side that I like, that tries to understand when they were written, and take it out of a folktale sense, and try to see what the text, what the writers, I assume writers, were actually intending to describe. There's a book you might want to look up by the same author that started Meru.org. It's called The Alphabet That Changed the World, which describes a lot of the model. It's too much to describe here. In this video, I just wanted to give you a simple introduction to the Tree of Life. And since this is a kind of a self-help or understanding yourself better, I figured the Tree of Life, a focus on that would get your attention, and then you can go on and explore further. And I'd like to explore in future videos, again, my understanding of where the Torah came from, because I'm assembling a timeline. I want to understand where the Torah came from, how it's structured, and whether it's true that it's teaching that Kabbalah goes at least as far back as Torah. So, with that having been said, I'll see if I can insert a diagram of the Tree of Life. If not, it's pretty easy on the internet to be able to find it. So until then, have a good weekend. And to my Jewish friends, I'm recording this on Shabbat. I know it's not exactly kosher. Shabbat Shalom. Good night. Goodbye.